Hi everyone, welcome to this course talk for the undergraduate history degrees at the University of Portsmouth. My name's Katy Gibbons. I'm a senior lecturer here in history. I'm also the academic admissions tutor for the subject area. So I'm going to briefly touch on a very large topic of why study history, why is it important, and then in the rest of this course talk I'm going to give you more detail about the content and topics covered within our history degree programme. There are a number of other short videos you can watch that will tell you a bit more about teaching and assessment and also about building careers and postgraduate opportunities after your history degree. So do go along and watch those as well. You'll find them in the video folder in the history booth. Let's start then with the big question. Why study history? History gives us a very good understanding of human society. Thinking about the value systems, the societies, the peoples of the past, and how they change over time. It reminds us always of the importance of context. We can't understand anybody or anything unless we understand the time in which that person lived or that thing was produced. But, and very importantly, history is not just about the past. It's not done and dusted. It's not just dead people and old things which have no relevance for today. History, of course, is with us all the time in the present. It's always been put to use. It's always been misused as well. So studying the past helps us understand why we are where we are today. It helps us understand our present, but also very importantly, it helps us think about our future. So that's why study history. But what about history at Portsmouth? Well, the first thing is that our degree is designed to encourage you to explore history for yourself. All students take the same core modules in their first year, but in the second and third year, they have the opportunity to specialise, to pick those modules most close to their own interests. Secondly, we're not interested as a history team in teaching you what to think about the past. Instead, we want to help you develop so that you know how to think about it critically, how to approach it for yourself, and how to become an independent and critical thinker. We want you to be able to make your own mind up based on the evidence and based on a rigorous and analytical approach to the past. Thirdly, all history staff are research active. That means that as well as our teaching and administrative duties, we are active researchers in our own specialist fields of interest. You can see on this slide just a few examples of some of the topics that the history team at Portsmouth have recently published work on. And the fact that we are publishing, of course, is very important because it means that when you are taught by us, you're not only taught by people who know what they're teaching about, but you're being taught by experts who are actively reshaping thinking in their own areas of specialist interest. That, of course, means that you're being taught by people who really care about the topics that they're teaching you on. So this slide just gives you a bit of information about entry requirements, how they correlate to UCAS points. You have that range of points there. For our history degrees, we generally ask for at least 2 A-levels, including a history-related humanities subject, but a history degree itself is not always necessary. A history A-level, is not always necessary. This slide also lists the pathway options that are open to you. So you may decide to study history with sociology, history with politics, or history with American studies. In those options, the majority of your study is in history, and the other subjects you pick up as option modules in your second and third year of study. The other possibility is to have history as, if you like, the minor subject, in which case you could follow an English with history pathway or an international relations with history pathway. Just to say here that for all of those history with pathways, so sociology, politics, American studies, the entrance requirements are the same as the single subject history degree. So that range of points there applies to those too. So what sort of history do we do? The team of historians here at Portsmouth offer courses in European history in a global context. So we have lots of British and European specialists, and we also have specialists in areas of extra-European history, so US history, Chinese history, African history are also possibilities for study here. Chronologically, we cover the early modern and the modern period, starting around 1450, going on up to and including the current day. So there's quite a broad range there of chronological and geographical areas. In terms of our approach to the past, we are a group of historians who take a social and cultural history approach. That means that we're not so interested in the traditional top-down political history of the past. We don't just want to know about the kings and the queens or the cabinet governments or the prime ministers or the presidents. We want to know about how the actions of those sorts of people impacted on a much broader cross-section of society. How other people in those past societies responded, reacted, made sense of the world that they lived in. So we look at some key kind of organising structures or themes like social status and class, like gender, like race, and we try to access and think about a broader cross-section of society than just the ruling elites. So you may study peasants, urban workers, soldiers, youth movements, just to give a few examples. I'm just going to talk you through now the 3 years of our degree course with an example from each year. This is an example from our Going Global module in the first year, when we come to look at the topic or the issue of the Spanish, particularly the Spanish conquest of the Americas from the 15th and early 16th century onwards. The left here is an image of the sort of ship that somebody like Columbus may have used when he sailed across the Atlantic. So this European idea of discovery, adventure, opportunity. But that is a very Eurocentric view of what's going on here. That's one story. There are other stories which need to be told and need to be understood. So the image here on the right is taken from some, these are images which have been copied from what were originally murals on the walls of the ruling elite of Tlaxcalan elite in Central America. This is their view, their way of retelling and understanding what happens when the Spanish conquistadors turn up. And a lot of the most exciting historiography on this topic at the moment is thinking about this topic in a way which decenters Europe and places the focus on the peoples of the Americas themselves. Moving into your second year, you have more opportunity here to specialise. I've listed on this slide just a few examples of some of the option modules available where you're looking at themes or approaches or chronologies in a bit more depth and detail. And some of the examples, the images on the right of this slide, to give you a sense of some of the sorts of primary source material that you might be getting your hands on, as it were, when you're looking at some of your option modules in your second year. Just in slightly more depth, one of these option modules, the option module Slavery and Anti-Slavery in the Atlantic World. So this looks at the creation and the destruction of the race-based system of chattel slavery, which built up in the Atlantic world. A development, of course, that is fundamental to understanding why the world is like it is today. So this again goes back to the point I started with about how history is not something that's in the past. And just to note that this and other option modules are very fully supported by a range of online material. For this module, there is actually a dedicated online source database, Slavery and Anti-Slavery, which students can use while they're studying. The final year of your degree, your third year, this is where you become an expert in your chosen area or areas of expertise. Some examples here on this slide of the sorts of special subject themes that you can take up as a final year student. This is not an exhaustive list, there are many more. And some images on the right relating to some of those modules. So for single subject history students, you would take 4 of these modules across the course of your final year. As you can see, the titles here are much more specific and specialised than the sorts of more introductory modules you would have taken in the first year of your degree. And just as a further example of some of the really great work going on, that goes on in the third year, the final year of your degree, one of the things you do is a 10,000 word independent research project. You are carefully supported there by your dissertation supervisor, but every student in the year will undertake a different project depending on what they're most interested in. This slide lists some of the most recent work that we had, so dissertations from last year's graduating cohort, and every year we're absolutely blown away by the work that goes on, the variety of topics, the independent work, and the really insightful, thoughtful, fascinating research that comes out of the dissertation module. And finally, just a few pointers as to how you might get a bit more information if you feel like you'd like some more. I particularly point your attention towards our history blog, which contains examples both of staff and student work and activity to give you a flavour of the sorts of history that we teach and learn here at Portsmouth. Thank you for listening, and if you'd like to hear more, do also please check out the shorter videos in the video folder. Thank you.